Hello, welcome to this episode. In this episode, we are going to speak about the biggest myths around motivation. Yes, motivation. I remember when I was still leading a lot of workshops regarding meditation, regarding massage and spirituality. I remember that we had a workshop, and a week after, the energy of the workshop, the motivation that was created from the workshop, the deep spiritual work that was developed lasted for a week, and it was exactly after a week that the energy started going down. And then we had to create groups and create meditations and several gatherings in order for people to actually feel a bit better. So it was like they were out of themselves for a week, feeling good, feeling excited, feeling like they were totally engaged with themselves and with the world. And then after a week they felt like, okay, now we're back to reality, now we're back to life, and the motivation is gone. And so I would like to speak about, some of the myths that I've encountered throughout my life, not only with myself but with my clients, about motivation. And one of the biggest things that I find about motivation is that many people, and especially many neuroscientists, or even people that speak about secret and the law of attraction, think that in order to motivate yourself, you just have to focus or visualize your goals and the success of achieving those goals. I believe that this is a bit misleading many times, because it feels like we just think and we create. And for me, not meditation, but motivation is something that involves not only the mind, but the spirit, but also the emotions. And the mind doesn't communicate so well sometimes with the emotions, and it's too rational for the emotional. And so it is something that creates a link between the emotional and the mental that creates this motivation that comes from visualization. Another thing that I see many times people do is to have this kind of ego-driven motivation, which is like, I'm going to do it, I'm going to make it, and I'm going to realize, and I'm going to do this and that. It's very, very easy to do this. And many times, you just have to pump yourself, sort of speaking, with this or that. But, it's how you actually simulate this energy that is going to, create lasting motivation. Motivation is very, very momentarily many times. And, many times, yes, I look at a video or I read a book, or I sort of put myself in the state that Tony Robbins speaks a lot, this state of, peak performance. But for me, it's more than that, because those peaks are peaks, and you cannot stay at the peak forever. So if they are peaks of motivation, they sooner or later will bring you down. And what down means that you come to a sense of balance, you come to a sense of harmony, which is not very high in motivation or very low in motivation, because there is no degrees. In terms of inner harmony, motivation is like the sea, it's like always at the top, but not like in peaks or waves or too many fluctuations of energy. Another thing that I see many people do is to believe that it's not the right time for the motivation, or I have to wait for the right time in order to be motivated. And many times people actually believe that motivation comes from the outside, because it comes from the outside stimulation. But actually, motivation motivation that is permanent, that is long-lasting, is an inner motivation. It's basically, like I've been telling in many of my last videos, comes from a mindset. And I believe that that's the only way to actually become motivated, is to create a mindset that creates motivation and last long motivation. Somehow I keep mixing it with meditation. Might mean something here. Maybe you can think about it. I will, for sure. The other thing is that many people think that motivation is only driven by money, and that money is the greatest motivator of anyone in life, because many people still believe that money and creating financial freedom is going to solve all the problems. And so that becomes the most highest motivation, is to create financial wealth, to create money. But then people forget about everything else. And when they get money, and then when they are wealthy, financially abundant, then they find that that's not the answer. And this is why many people, many millionaires, many billionaires are not happy. Famous people, cooks and the actresses and chefs and many famous people commit suicide. Why do they commit suicide? Yeah, it's a very good question. It's because they were not feeling happy with themselves, although they had apparently everything that we should wish for, or everyone in the world, especially in third world countries, would envision as being success. But then, what happens? They are more happy sometimes than people who are very rich, or for instance, countries like Sweden, who has the highest rate. I'm not sure if it only in Europe, but also perhaps in the world. So, there's a lot of things to consider around motivation and around the sense of well-being. The last thing that I would like to focus, which I already said a few times here in this video, is that many people believe, and this is a really big myth, I believe, that people believe that meditation, my goodness, now it's not meditation, it's motivation, that motivation should last forever. And if it doesn't last forever, then it's not worth trying, or it's not worth pursuing. And so, if motivation is something that lasts for a small period of time, then of course it's not long lasting. So what is the sense of motivation? What is the sense of drive that we can count on, that we can focus on, that is much more permanent than any short-term motivation? And I believe, my friends, and I've told this many times in my previous videos, that for me has to do with your goals, but has to do with your most admirable aspirations, and the why you are doing what you're doing, and the reason behind you trying to do anything in life, pursuing any career, any dream. But if you are focused, and this is something that I can put my hands on fire for, if you are focused on creating the reality that you envision for your life, and if you are doing what you love every minute of the day, that you wake up for with a sense of excitement, then I can tell you that motivation will always be part of your reptilian brain, part of your neocortex, and always part of your hippocampus, where that drive and motivation and long-lasting memory comes from, which creates this sense of fulfillment. And so if you want to really be motivated and forget about all the myths and forget about everything else but your goals in life, your most admirable aspirations, your most driven, focused attention in the moment, so that you wake up every morning with an excitement, with a drive, with a fuel, with a light, with a fire inside of you that tells you, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And even if I retire, I would still work, because why should you stop doing the things that you love to do when you retire? If you do things like you do for love and for creating a sense of fulfillment in life, you will never stop doing it. And that's where motivation comes from, real motivation. Okay, a shout out to everyone. If you would like to be promoted in my videos, let me know and I'll give you a big shout out. I will post your Twitter or Instagram or YouTube link on the video, and so in this way I can promote you. Thank you very much, and wishing you a great day.